The screech of brakes shattered the afternoon calm like a gunshot in a quiet forest. And right then I just knew trouble had found its way back to my doorstep. I looked up from my newspaper, caught a flash of blue out the window, and sure enough, it was Linda Harper, our infamous HOA president, storming out of her SUV like she was storming the beaches at Normandy, clipboard in one hand, and a scowl so deep it probably had its own zip code. She beelined right for the black SUV parked in my driveway, her heels clicking like a metronome set to warpath. Without even knocking, she started pounding on the window, barking about unauthorized vehicles, community violations, God knows what. Her voice could have raised the dead, and honestly, sometimes I wish it had, just so they could come back and tell her to calm the hell down. I watched from my living room, part annoyed, part fascinated, sipping my coffee as Linda whipped out her phone, dialing so hard I thought her thumb might break through the screen. She gestured at the car like she was directing traffic on the Vegas Strip, shouting about suspicious activity, threatening to make a citizen's arrest right there in my driveway. The thing is, Linda couldn't see what I could through that tinted window. The driver was sliding down her sunglasses just slow enough to make a statement. And behind those shades, a gleaming silver deputy's badge catching the sunlight like a warning. Linda had no idea she was about to pick a fight with the county sheriff's department, or that the suspicious driver was my own daughter, Emily Carter. You want to talk about timing? I'm James Thornton, 62, retired Marine. Thought I'd earned my peace and quiet out here in Pinarest Meadows after 3 decades in the service. I bought this house for the white shutters and the big oak tree out front, thought maybe I'd finally found a place where I could breathe easy, mow my lawn, maybe fall asleep in a rocking chair one day without somebody jumping down my throat about grass height. Emily moved back in a couple years ago after a rough divorce. She's 34, 15 years a sheriff's deputy, and stubborn as a bulldog when it comes to doing her job right. She takes the tough shifts, the ones nobody wants, and sometimes I think she's got more backbone than anybody in this zip code. But she was about to need every bit of it. See, the Pinarest HOA used to be a harmless bit of paperwork, just something you put up with for the sake of keeping the neighborhood looking tidy. Then Linda Harper took over. Woman in her late 40s, too much free time, not nearly enough hobbies. Her husband's a lawyer and hardly ever around, so Linda poured every ounce of energy into the HOA, running the place like her own little kingdom. Suddenly, it was a ticket if your mailbox was off-white, a citation if your trash cans were visible for more than 7 minutes, a formal warning if your kid's bike was left in the yard. The rules went from suggestions to holy commandments overnight, and Linda became a one-woman surveillance state binder in one hand, measuring tape in the other. It got worse when Emily moved in. Suddenly, every week brought some new letter in the mailbox, some complaint scribbled in angry blue ink. Emily's gym bag was a visual blight. The paint on our porch was too matte. Then came the patrol car issue. Emily started bringing her department SUV home because she was on call and needed to respond fast if something went sideways. Linda hated it, said it violated HOA rules, called it a commercial vehicle, demanded Emily park it somewhere else or face daily fines, $50 a day, as if that would scare off a sheriff's deputy. Emily tried explaining calmly, but Linda just doubled down, standing on the sidewalk writing citations like she was earning a bonus per signature. Linda started keeping logs, no kidding, binoculars on the windowsill, jotting down Emily's shift times, how long she sat in the car, what time she left for work. She left notes under the wiper, sometimes polite, but they got ugly real fast, accusing Emily of loitering on her own property, hinting at suspicious activity. Neighbors noticed Wilson across the street, told me Linda had interrogated him about Emily's hours. The Garcias next door said Linda wanted them to spy on us and report violations. Folks started to get nervous, but nobody wanted to cross the HOA queen. Everything boiled over that October morning. Emily had just pulled a 20-hour shift, a domestic standoff, high stress, but she kept her cool and everybody walked away safe. She got home at 7, bone-tired, just needed a minute to breathe and file a report from the comfort of her own driveway. She nodded off, head back, sunglasses on, just for a few minutes, you know. But Linda was watching as always. She marched over, clipboard, raised face, locked in that righteous fury, and started banging on the glass like she was trying to wake the whole block. She started shouting, accusing Emily of trespassing, of violating HOA ordinances, the kind of stuff that sounds insane unless you've met Linda. Neighbors peered out from behind curtains just in time to hear Linda call 911 and claim there was a suspicious person refusing to leave her property, even suggested maybe Emily was faking being a cop. Yeah, that happened. Here's the twist. Dispatcher recognized the address, realized the suspicious vehicle was a county sheriff's patrol car, flagged it for the department. Emily's radio squawked to life, rousing her from her nap, and she looked up to see Linda's face smashed up against the glass like a cartoon villain. Emily rolled down her window badge on full display, and for the first time I saw Linda hesitate, her whole act crumbling. Seconds later, a squad car rolled up. Deputy Rodriguez, big guy, been around forever, recognized Emily right away. He stepped out, shook his head, and Emily just quietly explained the situation. Months of harassment, notes, citations, surveillance, the whole ugly mess. Rodriguez listened, face darkening, as he put it all together, and then he turned to Linda, calmly but firmly, laid out the facts. Filing a false police report is a crime. Harassment is a crime. And HOA rules don't trump the actual law. Linda sputtered about her authority, but Rodriguez wasn't having it. He told her to get a lawyer. Emily, ever the professional, told him she'd be filing her own charges: harassment, false reporting, interfering with an officer. That's when it stopped being an HOA spat and started being a real legal battle. By noon, Emily had called her supervisor, started the paperwork. And suddenly neighbors who'd always kept quiet started sharing their stories. The Wilsons talked about their fence being measured down to the inch. The Garcias had gotten citations for mowing too early. People were sick of it, and that week's HOA meeting was standing room only. Linda tried to act like nothing was wrong, but the crowd wasn't buying it. Folks stood up one by one, told their own Linda stories. A single mom broke down crying about Linda threatening her with child services over her kids' bikes. Emily spoke last, steady as ever, laid out the case against Linda, talked about how all this nonsense had bled into her ability to serve the community. The board saw the writing on the wall. They voted Linda out on the spot, unanimous. Even her old friends bailed. A new president stepped in, started tossing out citations left and right, basically hit the reset button on the neighborhood. But the sheriff's investigation wasn't done. Detective Sullivan dug through Linda's files and found a whole war room set up in her house. Photos of neighbors, maps, charts, a high-powered camera aimed at my driveway. She'd even tried to get Emily investigated by internal affairs, all baseless, all thrown out in days. Turns out she'd contacted a private investigator to dig up dirt, but he warned her it was illegal. In court, the assistant DA painted Linda as a stalker in a pantsuit, weaponizing her HOA badge against everyone on the block. Neighbors took the stand, people who'd stopped walking their dogs, kids too scared to play outside. Emily's testimony hit like a freight train. Linda tried to play the just enforcing the rules card, but her handwritten logs and frantic 911 calls spoke for themselves. Didn't take the jury long, 2 hours tops. Guilty on stalking, harassment, false reporting, interfering with an officer. Judge Hayes sentenced her to 6 months in jail, 2 years probation, $15,000 in restitution for wasted county resources, and a permanent restraining order. She had to destroy her surveillance files, pull down the cameras, and she got hit with a pile of civil suits from neighbors. Her husband filed for divorce, the house went up for sale, and Linda, last I heard, left the state, reportedly moving in with her sister to start fresh. Funny thing is, nobody around here misses her. After all, that Pinterest Meadows actually became a community again. The new HOA president set clear rules: no more arbitrary tickets, no more threats. Kids play in the street, neighbors wave, and Emily's patrol car is just part of the scenery, a symbol of real safety, not some HOA fever dream. Emily got promoted too. Her handling of Linda became a training story for new deputies. We even had a little sign put up: deputy lives here, protected by law and common sense. Some folks say justice doesn't happen, but I saw it clear as day. I tell this story because bullies don't quit until you shine a light on them. Law, when it's done right, is a force for good, no matter how loud the clipboard brigade screams. Emily's badge outshone Linda's clipboard, and we got our peace not through fear, but through a community standing up for itself. So what do you think? Was justice served, or did the neighborhood go too far? I'd love to hear your take. Drop a comment, share your thoughts on right, wrong, and what real community should look like.